Rise and grind. Welcome to this episode of Man Down. Today I want to talk about work versus wealth. For many of us, we've been taught that if you want to become wealthy, you got to work really hard. And that is a lie. There's so many stories that we know of people who work several jobs and they've got no wealth. We know of the guy who worked for 40 years at the plant and all he got was a gold watch. I remember coming up, I was told that if you worked really hard, if you made $20 an hour and you worked really hard, if you got some overtime, you'd become wealthy. By the time as I started working, the idea was, well, maybe if you made $30 an hour and if you worked a lot of overtime, you'd be wealthy. But we now see that in some places, the minimum wage is $20 an hour. People are working multiple jobs, but yet they are not wealthy. And so what I learned is that wealth is not based on work. Wealth is based on value. My first job was as a United States Marine. Fresh out of high school, I went off to boot camp, Paris Island, South Carolina. 12 weeks intense Marine Corps training. After boot camp, I went and was trained in my job. I became an ammunition and explosive expert. I thought I had so much value. I was so well trained. I could shoot so good. I could run. I was the perfect Marine. When I got to my duty station, my master sergeant, he gave me a swing blade. This was an item that was used for cutting grass. And that was my job, to cut grass. And I did it. I did it proudly and I did it efficiently. But that's when I started to learn that even though I was trained, even though I was good, even though I was so determined, my value wasn't being appreciated. I got out the Marine Corps, went and worked in corporate America, and I thought if I just worked really, really hard, if I got some overtime, and again, I worked, but my value was not appreciated. And so one day I said, I am going to show my value. I'm going to show this organization how valuable I am. And I know that my company was going to be given this big job, this big multi-million-dollar program. And I said, I am such a good leader. I'm going to show them my value. I said, I am going to run this program and they're going to know my value. Now, when programs are awarded, the team meets and they spend about a week and they come up with a program plan. And so I said, I'm gonna come up with the program plan. This way, from the start, I will be the leader. And so before we even have our first meeting, I'm gonna submit the full plan and show my value. The meeting was on a Tuesday. I had this idea that Monday. And so I said, I'm going to spend all day working on the program plan. But I forgot I had a dentist appointment. And it was for a root canal. And so I went to the dentist's office. I thought it would be an in and out procedure. And it took hours. Hours of drilling and intense pain. I got out of the dentist's office at about 6 p.m., face swollen, heavily medicated, hungry, dizzy, in pain. But I needed to finish the program plan because I needed to show my value. And so I went back to work and I worked till about 2 in the morning, dizzy, starving, in pain. I submitted the program plan, and yes, I became the program manager. I showed the company my value. And as a result of showing them my value, within a year, my pay doubled. Because I now had all this extra money, I bought a house. The value of that house soon doubled. Because I had so much extra money, I started investing. This was about 10 years ago. There were new currencies on the market. I had a lot of extra money. And so I started investing. And my investments paid off. And all of this changed my life, my family's life, generations to come, because I understood value. And I started not worrying about working, but worrying about building wealth, worried about acquiring assets, buying houses, investing in stocks and other currencies. I went from a work mindset and became wealthy. I went from an hours mindset and focus on value. Focus on how do I bring value to an organization. Now, here's the reality. I wake up at 5:30 every morning and I work till about 10:30 every night. Now, you may be thinking, I thought we weren't supposed to work. Here's the difference. When I work or when I expend energy, it's usually for me. It's usually money that's going to come back to me. It's not just me working for a corporation. The work that I do for the businesses that I don't own, the work that I do, I have a return. There are rewards. There's increased compensation. All the companies that I work with or work for understand my value. And so if you are just working, get to the point where you know your value, where you know your worth. And then you can start having different conversations. Then you can start positioning yourself. And so get away from that work mindset and start thinking about wealth. Get away from clocking in every day and start thinking about how can I own? Think about how can I start my own business? And if you're going to work for a company, think about how do I show them my worth? When you become worthy, you'll become wealthy. And so work does not produce wealth. Value and worth produce wealth. Rise and grind.